there's an awakening happening both on the collective, on the outside and the inside. Like our dark false selves are falling over, the control elements, because it's all coming to light. So we're becoming the light that's seeing all of it. That high frequency that's not even at war with it, because it's just the darkness that's outside is inside, right? So if we come to terms with our inner stuff, that stuff just as a byproduct has to collapse, and it's collapsing. We're so aware of what's going on.
I'm super excited to introduce you to Kyle Cease. If you don't know him, you're going to want to. We were talking before we started the recording, and oh my God, this. So let me give a little background. Award-winning comedian turned spiritual teacher of personal transformation. I was looking up that one of the quotes that I think is totally cool. If Eckhart Tolle and Jim Carrey had a baby, it'd be Kyle Cease. New York Times best-selling author of The Illusion of Money, founder of Evolving Out Loud, and a 400,000 worldwide membership community. I mean, Kyle, thank you for making it here.
I'm honored to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my, we were talking before, okay, about I mean, in my world, physical, chemical, emotional stress is what people are all going through.
Yes.
And there is a dark energy, I mean, going on throughout the world and stuff. For one, I want you to, if you could share your story, how you came from an award-winning comedian to a spiritual teacher. What happened?
Yeah, well, the crux of the shift started, I think, I learned how to be a comedian, I think, before I learned how to be a person. I was a comic at 12 years old. I was a middle act around 15 and a headliner at 18. I did a couple of big teen movies. I did a movie called 10 Things I Hate About You. Not Another Teen Movie was another one. And then I moved to LA and had a great Comedy Central career, did tons of colleges, headlined all the comedy clubs in the world, and a huge, not literally all, I want to make sure if someone goes, what about the Funny Bone in Massachusetts? You weren't there. Like, okay, most of them. But a huge shift for me was a revelation that I think there's a level that we all live in, and that's this thinking. No matter what it is, when something happens, I'll be happy. Right? People watching this right now, when I finally get that promotion, when I leave the job, when I get the divorce signed, when I get over my addiction, when whatever dark forces collapse, I'll be happy, whatever it is, right? And I was in this knowing that when something happened, I'll be happy was the belief, yet I would achieve many of the things that I wanted, right? I got to have the thing that I thought would make me happy. And then immediately I would either think, well, this is my happiness, so it better not go, right? So I started getting attached to whatever I thought would make me happy. So for instance, when I booked a movie, I thought, okay, well, it's my form of happiness, so it better not collapse. I better not lose my part. It better be a hit, And, if you think the person you're going to date is the source of your happiness, then they better not leave. They better not cheat. Like all these things start to show up. And I started realizing this is a lie, and all of humanity is living in this place in the future. When something happens, I'll be happy. And after I got to achieve those things, I started getting progressively sadder and discovering that's a lie. And the shift is not that, it's when I'm happy, things will happen. And by happy, I mean literally okay with all of my emotions. Like if I'm sad, can I be present with it? If I'm angry, can I be there with it? If I'm off, right? This became a shift in how I lived. I stopped kind of chasing things and noticed that something almost higher than the egoic me that's trying to get somewhere because it thinks it'll fulfill something, because the lie is I'm unfulfilled as I am, or I'm incomplete as I am. That goes away. And all of a sudden I'm actually hearing this now. And it turns out that the now has a ton of things for me, like that in this moment, it wanted to create in a different way, but not from a then I'll be complete lie. And I left stand-up comedy at the height of my career. I had a major career going. I was doing big theaters as a stand-up comic, had 2 Comedy Central specials, everything. And I felt this calling in me that just said, what if you let go of it? And I started leaving the world of motivation too. And I started realizing the real truth is something my friend said to me, and this is how I started to live, was when you let go of something in your life, the only reason you're stressing is your mind can measure what you will lose. It can't see what you will gain. And so instead of getting motivated and thinking that completes me, I just started noticing the things in my life that felt vibrationally heavy and going, okay, social media makes me feel heavy, like bad food makes me feel heavy, like saying yes to hanging out with a friend that deep down you hope cancels. Like, have you ever had scheduled dinner with someone and then you start hoping they cancel, right? That's your,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? That's your soul going cancel. Like, why am I waiting for them to do it? Right. And so I started noticing what doesn't feel in alignment with me. And I started letting go of these things and getting more attuned to what was heavy and what was light in my life, and moving towards the things that were lighter, and everything that I felt like I have to do because society taught me practically that I have to have this thing or this career or this whatever. But if it didn't align with my heart would be like, yeah, it doesn't align. I started letting go of it, and things in my life started getting so magical and so weird and so synchronistic. And all that showed up was just joy, abundance, creativity, flow, and massive synchronicities. A lot of really weird things happened because I was starting to leave the separate self that thinks that I have to do something in order to be happy. And it thinks that that will make me something, which already starts with the prerequisite that now I'm not something, right?
Mhm.
So we start with this lie of lack, right? And then we go, it'll be fixed when I get that job or make that money. But even if you get those things, then you still have the lack, it's just pushed down, right? And I'm in this massive discovery of what I'm feeling is just unseen energy that needs to be seen. And I've noticed that when I see the pain that creates all these lack fixings, that they dissolve. And what I think 2020 and 2021 really is, in a totally different view, if instead of getting caught in who's doing what or what's the agenda or anything like that, I see it as like the universe awakening us. Like in 2019, we all had, not all, but many people had just enough of their circumstances, just the way they needed them, to not have to look at themselves. You had a mediocre enough job, a mediocre enough relationship. You could travel, you could eat at any restaurant, you had all your addictions there and you didn't have to go within. And then 2020 was like the most amazing end to that. And you had to go within, and you had to like listen to yourself and ask yourself, what truly aligns with me? What doesn't belong to me? What actually was something I was doing just out of momentum and inertia? And it has, so for me, ascended so many things in my life. 2020, 2021, 2022. I was about to tour with a huge speaker and I had lived on the road. I also now have my daughter's now 5. And had 2020 not happened, I'd be touring right now and probably wouldn't be nearly as present. And instead, I did everything at home and online for the last 2 years. And I am so much more of a father, and I'm so much more here, and I'm so much more excited about the now than an outcome.
God,
And
you talk
yeah,
about looking inward, looking at yourself, and
yes,
we're a lot of people don't choose their job. They go into the family business.
right.
They don't consciously make decisions about life's choices. And you are right. I mean, buddy, since 2020, the world is, people are waiting for the next shoe to drop instead of appreciating the moment.
Yes,
I've done talks on stoicism where be happy where you are now. Okay,
yes,
try and find that contentment, and that desire can always have a challenge. And when I'm working with patients, it's you have to address their thoughts about the future, their emotional component.
yes.
um were you always like even when you were a kid, spiritual or thoughtful like this?
I was not, I mean, not knowingly spiritual. In fact, I've thought to myself, if you showed me as a stand-up comic when I was about 25, me now helping people heal their emotions, I would have been like, what happened? Like, what turn did I was an edgy stand-up comic that was like making fun of the world, and I would probably have made fun of what I became at 25. If you showed me like sitting with a bunch of women at a small retreat feeling their emotions, or even doing a giant theater, if you'd shown me, look, here's you doing the Dolby in the future, because I did the Dolby Theater where they do the Oscars, but as this, I just picture me showing the 25-year-old dude, watch this. And I'm walking on stage and he's so excited. Oh my God, I'm going to do the Dolby. And then I come out and I'm talking about feelings and not necessarily only getting laughs. He would have been like, what the hell happened? Like, what did you turn into? Why are you? And but there was an aspect of me that was always ambitious, was creative, and did have some kind of, I was my dad's uncle was the prop man for Gallagher, the comedian from the 80s who smashed watermelons.
Sledge-o-matic, baby.
Yeah, like a lot of the props that he had, my uncle had made them. My dad's mom was a puppeteer who was on the Carol Burnett show and did like puppets for different kind of big things like that. And so entertainment was a little normal in our world. And when I was a kid, we saw stand-up comedy a lot, and I noticed that was the most connected I felt to my parents. Like laughter was where I felt most connected. And I think that made me just realize, I think that actually, believe it or not, even though it was my dream career, I think that I also associated, I get love for this and I don't for not, right? In other words, even though it was a dream career, it was escaping pain still, right? Like, I want to be seen. I want to know that I'm enough. I want to not be in trouble. I want to not be yelled at or hurt or anything like that. And so I think that created the drive to become really good at it and have a great career and be very funny.
With your, because I mean, the spiritual aspect of the world right now, if people think it has to do with a bug or political climate or something, there is a spiritual energy to what's going on now.
Completely.
How because people do get locked into what they think is their world. Yes. Even though they're not appreciating what's happening in the now. Okay. When people are talking to me about, their business has been shut down, they had a forced medical procedure that they had to, otherwise they would have lost their job, they have to do this, they have to do, their world is so dark. Yes. And they're not seeing that they still have a place to live, they still are breathing, they're still healthy. How do you take someone that's may have a change in job or living environment or family, and I mean, I'm sure in your family too, I've got some relatives I can't talk to.
Yes. Well, you know what? I'll tell you something really interesting. Instead of me taking them to an even positive thing, like here's what you should be appreciative of, I want that darkness to come up, because it gets alchemized then, right? So like we've created a world through self-help that says, think of the positive. And I really believe that served a purpose in the past. But what if right now the universe or life or God or whatever you want to call it is trying to pull our dark stuff up too? It's trying to pull our collective internal dark stuff. Basically, there were a lot of things that we created in ourselves that were out of a fixing, meaning like just a basic example. If you felt like you were unloved by your parents and they only loved you if you got straight A's, okay, then you actually create a character that now goes and gets straight A's and says, this is who I am. Or if you're always a caretaker, if you had a parent that was always sick and you're always taking care of them, then you're now a grown-up still taking care of the world, but you're ignoring you, right? Or whatever it is, you create this programming that says, this is me. And I believe the universe right now, or the now, is bringing all of that to light. And one of the things I've noticed in this time is a lot of people are losing motivation. Right? I hear people, how many times have you or heard someone say they keep starting something, they get their project, and then they start for like a few days and then they give up on it, right? That's because right now, the frequency of the world is raising beyond that we are what we do. And we're still living in the old patterns that think that we're a doer, right? So we're trying to live in an old way that at one point we felt rewarded for, but it's trying to undo that. And it's literally raising our vibration to, maybe I'm going to make motivation leave completely, because the true you is now, and it's freedom in the now. And I think that there's a complete match to the darkness that we know of outside of us and the darkness that's in us, right? It's almost like all of our darkness is coming to light. All of our things we don't want people to know about us, it comes to light. All of our things in our body that we don't like about ourselves, it's coming up. So instead of having like a positive escape, right? Like that kind of is a hope that kind of pushes it back down. Like, don't look at this because we have this over here, or one day I'll be this, so I don't have to feel this. I ask people, okay, when you felt rejected last week, what did you feel? Like when that person said that to you and they talk crap about you, what did you feel? Because the trigger that they feel is from before the circumstance that's happening now. And that's going to keep coming up. We all have different triggers. Otherwise, we'd all be triggered by the exact same thing. We'd all agree on the same president, and, we'd all feel the same way. But things trigger us because there's an unseen energy from our past in our body, and we no longer can escape from it. And that's good. So an analogy I've had before is, imagine if we went into a room and I just had a flashlight and I just shined it on the positive stuff, not the negative stuff. But now the universe has turned the whole room on. And now you're stuck looking at, okay, even though we got this positive thing over here, there's a dead body with rats over here. And we got to get it out now that we see it. And
okay, so, I mean, what you're talking about, because I mean, what I work with people who are, really hurt, they've been hurt for years. And I tell them that their brain's firing in a survival mode.
Yes.
Okay, based on past stimuli.
Yes.
And one of the examples I give, like if I go over and I pick up my bottle and my shoulder twinges, yeah, no big deal. I just adjusted 30 people, it'll work itself out. But if you believe that you have a joint condition and you pick this up, you have the shoulder pain, your brain starts to fire. Oh my God, I'm breaking down. My joints I'm going to be old before my time. I won't be able to pick, and it sucks you into the pit of hell. How do you break someone's pattern of firing like that?
Yes. Check this out. So let's say someone says something like, so first of all, you and I know that those things that are coming up, like I'm going to be old or young or whatever, those are beliefs, right? Their problem is they aren't allowing those beliefs. So what I have people do is I have them in the now say to the pattern, you're allowed to be a failure in my body. You're allowed to die young in my body. You're allowed to disappoint others in my body, right? So we're not aiming for it. But for instance, if you're trying to create a business out of a fear of going broke, then a negative thing is needed for your business to succeed. Your fear is running the business, right? If you're getting a relationship out of a fear of being alone, then we need to keep the fear of being alone here. Otherwise, this relationship's on false stilts and it's going to fall over because it's attachment that's stopping this pattern from coming to light. But what if we go, okay, I see you're trying to find the right person to marry, or I see you're trying to build a business. If you fail at that, or if it doesn't happen, what happens? They go, I'm alone. I'm unloved. I'm unlovable. Okay, that is not the now. That's a pattern, right? And that's a pattern that they have spent their life trying to avoid. So if I have them instead say to the pattern, you're allowed to be alone in my body. You're allowed to be broke in my body. You're allowed to die alone in my body. What are we saying? We're not aiming for it. We're saying, I right now love you to the pattern and I see you, even if that happens. Because the pattern up until that moment has never heard that it's allowed to do that or be that. The pattern has never heard that it's loved even if it's a narcissist. It's loved even if it's a bad person. It's loved even if it's off. It's loved. And we're on this planet to learn unconditional love. And whatever we see as dark on the outside is 100% a mirror of what we haven't seen on the inside. That's why everyone, no matter what they know about what's going on the outside, has a different response to it. Why do some people turn a blind eye to it? They're the same people that turn a blind eye to their feelings. That some people aggressively go fight it. They're the same people that fight their feelings, right? Or fix their feelings. I'm a fixer, right? And these are all patterns that are out of, because I'm not allowed to just fail, right? Like when I was, for someone, when I was a kid, they might say, when I was a kid, when I failed, my dad beat me. Okay. Now their dad could be dead and they're still building things out of don't get beaten, because fail equals beaten. So if I have them to say, you're allowed to fail, then they for the first time get to let go of that and then experience, I'm not being beaten when I am allowed to be. And then also, even if their big fear is being beaten, I have them say, you're allowed to feel beaten in my body. You're just saying, I'm unconditional love for you.
Wow.
Do you get this? And you'll
Buddy,
watch tears almost every time when that happens.
To love yourself. And even though, I mean, we have a lot of motivations, like you're talking about parents or challenges in the past or fear. My God, total love and self-acceptance. Okay, that's sounds easy on the top part.
Yes.
There's a lot of Kleenexes used in your theater.
We see it. We see almost every one-on-one has a lot of that, where, sometimes they'll come on and work with me, or we have our membership site, the Absolutely Everything Pass. I'll do a call with someone. We do this thing called Hot Seat. They can see this on my YouTube video, and you'll see people, they have to do something. When I hear I have to do something, they are wired to think I am loved based on what I do, not what I am, right? So I say, okay, you have to do this thing. If you don't, what happens? And there's always a, if I don't, then I am X. But they usually can't even get to that unless I'm present with them and we get to what that feeling is. What we think, when we think I want that person to love me, okay, all that other person is your own unnecessary middleman permission slip for you to see yourself. In other words, when someone outside sees you, that doesn't give you magical powers to feel seen. That's you're seeing what they're seeing. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So when someone else sees you and goes, I see what you're saying, I understand you, you now feel understood. But it's not because they said it. It's because when they said it, you understood yourself, but you falsely have the wiring is the middleman over here is my source of being seen. So it's when my wife understands me. It's when my mom apologizes, right? These are these things that are you cutting yourself off from the direct connection to you. And that's what's collapsing. And to answer your question about the families separating and all that, that's why the universe right now is taking things away from you that were distracting you from directly feeling connected to you. Like it's taking the ultimate things away from people that they thought they needed, like their mom that says you need to have this procedure done, or their dad that says you are, whatever it is. And it's so painful because they believed that was their completeness, right? And if it falls off, you have this giant open wound that eventually will be replaced with the now, where you realize you were actually codependent on that person or that job or that bank account. And the whatever you think fulfills you that isn't the now must be taken from you to get you to the now. If you get your the now, then you can have those things as a secondary byproduct. But if you're saying that's my source of happiness, life literally has to pull it from you to get to the source of you. And that's why, weirdly, as a collective, all at the same time, we're all losing the things that we thought we couldn't live without. To see you're still alive, now let's heal this thing.
That is brilliant. I mean, people that identify as a parent, and so they're number one parent, everything else. Typically, the kids are not following their advice. People that identify with their job, okay, and their job is everything, but they don't get the promotion or this, or their health fails. I see it all the time in caregivers. They live for taking care of that person without, and they think being selfless really is an honorable thing, when really they're distracting from themselves. I've never heard that.
Yes.
That what you're totally focused in on, if that didn't exist, what are you? What do you identify with?
Yeah. So when someone comes up to you and they're saying their circumstances are falling apart, this is a great opportunity, right, for us to be like, so what does that make you feel? Right. Because we're so close. And then when they go back to the circumstance, they're cutting off the feeling, right? Like they're like, this guy at work is talking crap about me. Okay. And what do you feel about that? And they're like, well, he shouldn't be. Okay. Your pain is you're ignoring this. Imagine how weird it would be if you fixed your actual kids the way you are for your inner children. Like if my 5-year-old daughter came into the room and said, Daddy, I feel unloved. And I was like, well, let's put some makeup on you and tap dance in front of the neighbors and maybe they'll be impressed. Like that would just be so weird. Like versus being like, you're allowed to feel unloved right here with me. Like that's what it needs. That's what alchemizes that inner child, that we have all these different inner children that we've created these false solutions to. So they're still here waiting to be understood and seen. And then they're alchemized into this now and they go permanently, so.
Wow.
So if my daughter came to me and said, I don't feel loved, and I fixed it by getting someone outside to love her, that's kind of what we're like. I feel unloved, so I need to get on a dating site and I need to go on whatever and find someone else versus be present for the love. So one rule I have with myself is I do everything I can to not respond from a trigger, right? Like if I'm feeling unloved, wanting to fix it and work through something while that pain's there is kind of burying it. But if I get really present with the unloved, then usually some crazy, bizarre, magical solution happens. I can't tell you how many times it's happened where once the trigger's healed, the outside just mirrors it. Like I had a client, she was like, I can't remember how long it was, but she's like, my mom hasn't spoken to me in 8 years. And then we got to a place where she's like, she's allowed to not call me. I understand it. She cried it all out. She actually got to a true place where she's fine with her mom not calling her. And at the end of the call, her mom freaking called her.
Yes.
That's the mirror to the inside says I'm incomplete until mom calls me. Once I healed it, I create this open frequency where I actually don't need her to. And now the mom's energy has nothing to be against. Does that make sense? So
it makes all the sense in the world.
So the outside is mirroring the inside. Sorry, I'm talking so much.
No, I find this interesting as all heck. I mean, you figure the people that come in to see me, they identify with, oh, I have this disc injury, or I have fibromyalgia, or I have, high blood pressure, or I have this. And 100% of the times, the worst ones are the kids that say, I have attention deficit disorder. And I say, really, does anyone have to yell at you to make you play video games? And
right.
No, I could do that for hours, man. I say, you don't have a deficit of attention. You don't have high blood pressure. You don't.
Ooh, that's
but
a good point.
they're identifying with this thing.
Right.
And I've got to break them away because that thing doesn't exist. It's really their body or brain adapting to whatever circumstances they've experienced.
That's such a good point. Yeah. You just have wired yourself to think the video game is more stimulating than the now, and you haven't experienced the fulfillment of the now yet.
And that's what I tell the kids. I said, buddy, you've got laser beam focus. You just don't care about stuff what other people care about.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Empowering the kids is the key. Oh,
totally.
Okay. So what do you envision? Because this is, I call it the Dark Ages, but we're moving into the Renaissance.
Yes.
So what's your vision for the future of mankind? Because I'm excited about the spiritual nature of everything going on.
Yes, I am too, actually. It's weird because, I have asked for this. Like I was like, I want to know what my soul is like. Merge me with my soul. I said that out loud one day. And then a week later, COVID started, and people in my life that really didn't align with me, that I was trying to be there for and work with, like work together and just left together as a collective and was painful. And then COVID started, and it was like grounding for me. And I literally had said out loud, merge me with my soul, no matter what the cost. And, and then literally that's my intention is my connection to my soul. I think there's an unreal reason why we're here. And I also believe that the world is a complete mirror of me and for you, right? And we're in the simulator. And the things outside of us that trigger us are this amazing opportunity for us to see what it's bringing up. And what I see in what I believe right now is we are in a time where the things that aren't the real us or aren't real in the world, like a media that's completely owned, or a government that's owned, or whatever else, is coming to light. And darkness literally can't thrive in light. That's the factor, right? A bank robber getting their mask pulled off is that we see who you are. You just lost your job, right? Like everything's different for you because it's seen. And the number one thing that darkness and ego needs is to stay in the dark. But unfortunately for darkness, and I don't mean it like a winning even idea, because it's not something for us to egoically overcome, it's for us to see in ourselves, that is so exponentially quickly collapsing. And I see very easily that in every movie, when a bad guy is figured out, they're always like, they lash out more, but they're dying, right? They're like, seize him. And then it's like this, but they're dying. I'm melting, it's like, I'm louder, but I'm done, right? So the things that's a match to how much the darkness is being seen is it's on its last lashing out, because that's how it has to work. And for its survival, it's going to throw everything it's got in it, but it's dissolving within the light of your scene, like the whistleblowers and the people that are waking up, and that we know what's going on, and it's way past a critical threshold. And so now it's just that darkness is trying to hold on, and us in the now is the key, because our inner darkness inside of us is also holding on. Our inner, I am an achiever is dying. I am a victim is dying. I am, a people pleaser is dying. All these little false bullshit patterns we've had all of our lives, and that came from a long time ago, that were way darker, that had no ability to feel their emotions, yet had a big fake Leave It to Beaver smile on their face, right? Like that is all collapsing, right? And you're hearing about crazy things going on in the world. They were happening a long time ago. We just see it now. And the crazy things going on inside of us was happening a long time ago. We just see it now. So we're going through a lot of kind of fight and flight with ourselves, where we're here going, oh, I thought that was me. And if you don't have an awareness of what's going on, this is really painful, because you just think you're falling apart, right? So if you don't understand like this dialogue at all, you just think who you are as someone who created that business, and that's your only thing that is valuable in your life, and it's falling apart, you're going to be more suicidal or depressed or something like that. But if you understand, no, it's just shedding the false you. Like if Gene Wilder was born into playing Willy Wonka, he'd be convinced he was Willy Wonka. He wouldn't think he's Gene Wilder. Do you get what I mean?
Oh, yes.
And so imagine if you thought for sure you're the character, not the actor. Then this is a really painful time. If he gets glimpses of, oh, I'm Gene Wilder, not Willy Wonka, then maybe I can leave the chocolate factory and the Oompa Loompas and the kids and everything, because there's a whole new world here. So the false identity of I'm this achievement, I'm this victim, I have these problems, I created this problem, I can't be at fault for anything, whatever it is, that's what's collapsing right now. And it's collapsing weirdly into the trueness that you are, because there's no way you could have ever been that, because how could it die and you're still here? Right? Like,
so the world is shedding the darkness, the lack
yes.
of truth, and what's left over is truth and purity and love and connection.
Yes. And I very much believe in this concept that you might have heard about, moving from a 3D to a 5D consciousness, like third dimension to fifth dimension. I believe that basically it's the false you that thinks you're the doer and needs to do whatever it can to prevent from getting hurt again when you are 5. That's dying. And it's dying into the now, which is you present, actually being guided from an expansive place that's not constant, like we are used to, and we've totally just adjusted to 100% of the time moving from fear. Like if you go to a job you don't like, you're moving from fear. I'm scared I'm going to lose money or get fired or whatever. That's not guidance. That's not soul. Your soul is a massively, unbelievably creator that's got all survival and abundance in there. It doesn't care about that. And it's got that taken care of. And we're moving to a place where we're expanding. So the more people are awakening and not going down with, awakening can be hard because it's like, shit, everything I thought I was is a lie. Right. So if you don't let yourself get consumed in whatever guilt or lie versus being present for the guilt and letting it be there, then it'll dissolve. You will. I heard a great speaker recently. Someone said, "What recommendation do you have?" And I repeated this too, and said this: literally, just staying alive in this time is going to create ascension. You can't get out of it. You're ascending. Awareness is stacking on top of itself. And we're moving to a free world. And the world that you're scared of is totally dead. It's just grabbing on.
Oh my God. And this is this, if this doesn't make sense, okay, when I talk to patients, I'll say disease is like a darkness, and darkness isn't even there. It's
Right.
just lack of light. Okay, you
Right.
can't sweep the darkness out. You can't measure the darkness. So the darkness that's taken over the world really isn't taken over the world. It's all delusion. It's a separation from man spiritual to man that delusional.
Right. Here's the difference. That darkness existed in the 50s and 60s, right? Like, you've heard of things that happened that, we now hear back then they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, keeping this from being right. But you've heard of all these things they were doing in the 50s and 60s. It's just back then we had the awareness of just 3 news channels and just Walter Cronkite, and we didn't have the ability to think past anything. And just this programming, there was no even questioning of your thinking. So there was no pain in the same way, because all we were at the time was a small separate self that's in the complete mercy of what your boss tells you to do or what life tells you to do. Now that darkness is seen. That's the only difference. That darkness was running the show then. It thrived on our being in debt. It thrived on, all of those different control mechanisms. Now we just see it. So there was a bank robber in the bank in the 50s. We just didn't know it. Now, oh, we see the bank robber. So now it's just, what do we do?
Kyle, I mean, this has been brilliant. Okay, what and I'm sorry, but the time's running out.
Sure, no problem.
What key takeaways can you give our viewers today for that
Sure.
points?
Man.
God, I want to get you back on too.
Oh, I've
enjoyed the heck out of this, man.
Thank you. I am too. This is so fun. So some key takeaways. One, even all of the feelings of limitation in your body are a lie that were taught to you. And they can leave and you will still exist. So they can't be you. So whenever you say a sentence like, I am a procrastinator, I am a worrier, nope, that's your pattern. And that was what you created to protect yourself in your childhood from difficult parents, right? Or a difficult upbringing. So know that all limitations are not you, yet they still need to be fully felt through to dissolve. The only way out of your pain is through, right? So you can become present for the limitation that says I'm not enough, or I'm always broke, or I can't find love, or whatever. And you just hold space for it and allow it. For me, my way is, along with being present for everything I'm feeling throughout the day now, almost always, I meditate and I listen to silence an hour a day. And it's helped me dramatically. Although trauma does come up, because what meditation does is it opens the portal to make it easier for stuff that doesn't serve you to come out. And the more you're the now, the more that everything that doesn't serve you just comes out. The more you're in the solution to the now, the more you're on the same frequency as the problem. Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah. What time do you take? Do you take in the morning before you start, at the end, in the middle? What time of the day do you take?
Most days are actually like, I wake up and do an hour. Often I'll do one at the end of the day too, when I go to bed. If I wake up at 3 a.m, I am in a massive meditation right there. And I just get very, it's not any type of, my meditations have no rules. Like people say sometimes in meditation, like they'll go, I just noticed this energy that like will go off on a tangent and I'll bring my focus back and I'll be like, wait, it needed to go on the tangent. Let it, because it needs to know that you're here with it, even if it goes off on a tangent, because this is control. Right. And so this to me is about letting go of egoic control that's trying to do everything out of survival. You have survival there. It's for if a car is about to hit you or a tiger jumps out. You don't need it 24/7. So it's listening. So I do an hour and I notice this voice kick in the hour, right? I do what I call breakup single soulmate. 30 minutes of meditation is the breakup. It's me literally listening and letting whatever I was up until today fall off me. So I know the first 30 minutes can be very painful because I'm saying goodbye to yesterday. I'm saying goodbye to, ideas of what I thought I was. From 30 minutes to 45, it's like I'm single, like I'm clubbing, I'm free. My mind is do whatever. Awesome. 45 minutes to an hour, I find that really high vibration ideas show up, massive worthiness, unconditional love, no over there is better, just now. And then it'll offer like really high vibe ideas, massive love, amazing things. So I know that around 46 minutes, some really cool spontaneous things show up in my life that match what's going on. Most of our problem is we see the physical world as true, but we don't know there's imagination and ideas and all these things that are just as factual as that egoic physical circumstance that you're glued to. So when you meditate long enough, you open up, it starts to show you new solutions, new possibilities, and you don't even live in the world that you had the problem with in the first place before you started the meditation. And I think the world matches that. So the days that I heal something, I notice the whole thing collapses faster. All of our ego on all political sides, everything, all control, everything, pride, it's all collapsing, right? Into us in this now.
God, brilliant. I mean, that's what Einstein said. He said imagination was the key. Okay, but where can people find you? And you have a thing, Absolute Everything Pass offer.
We have the coolest thing in the world. It's called the Absolutely Everything Pass. It's our membership site. We have a great YouTube. I have a YouTube channel that probably has 500 YouTube videos on. I put one a week on. And we also have, though, a membership site called the Absolutely Everything Pass. It's a major community of people. We started this thing doing one event a week. We now do 6 different live events a week, right? And we have a backlog of about 1,000 hours of footage and different events from the past, my giant theater events, all of our other things, right? So the first, like on Sunday, we do a half exploring oneness call where I do a talk and then we all meditate together. And there's tons of people on there, huge community of people. They're all meeting each other and going out, friends, whatever. It's awesome. On Monday, the community gets together and does a riff called It's Totally Possible, meaning literally they just go into different separate breakout rooms and you partner up with someone. You go, it's totally possible the world's healing itself right now. It's totally possible that I'm free. It's totally possible that abundance is coming to me. Worrying is doing this in the negative, right? So this is an opportunity to do an exercise to counterbalance it in the positive. We also bring on different guests and awesome different things. Love to have you on in the future. And then on a Wednesday night, I do a Q&A and shift people. You can watch me literally take people and shift them. There's a backlog of this with hundreds of people, and it's all on YouTube too. And we're doing a new series called Hot Seat. All of this is on the Absolutely Everything Pass. Hot Seats, where I'm interviewing someone and then shifting them in it, right? And you watch this and get all these shifts for you. And then we have another guy, Joey, who's awesome, who does a breathwork session on Thursday, community meditation Saturday. So we have this huge, great place. And it's crazy because I've learned I have about 1,000 hours so far of ongoing content because it never ends. As long as I'm evolving with it, it never ends, right?
Oh my God, brilliant. Please, when we talk about you have parts of you, when I say people are divine, either you're more energy than matter, which energy is eternal, or you're made in the image and likeness of God. So whatever your belief system, the spiritual nature of life, once you appreciate it, you can experience life better.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Kyle, honest to God, this has been so much fun and so enlightening.
Thank you.
We if we can arrange everything, I'd love to get you back on. But I think your message is so valuable, and honest to God, so appreciated by me today.
Oh, I appreciate. Well, you know, the here's the cool news is it takes one to know one. Like if that clicked for you, that's you accessing that in you, right? Like that we have that, we're all collectively meeting on that same place. But there's some people that could have heard this and been like, that's airy fairy nothing, you know, because they might have that part shut off for them. So like I appreciate you and your openness to be in that collaboration with me. And I could just feel in your energy this willingness to let me go as deep as I felt.
Oh my God. Yeah. And this is, I mean, I'm going to be stealing a lot of your stuff and giving it to patients because I mean, literally,
please, that's awesome.
To get people better, it's not, they don't have a disease, they have an adaptation. And to take understanding physical, chemical, I mean, the spiritual nature is the biggest part of what we have to heal in people before their body heals.
Yes.
And most docs don't even think of that.
There's a on YouTube. God, I can't. It's you. If you type in Kyle Cease hot seat, I think you'll find it. But there's me working with a woman that we put out like 2 weeks ago that had like I literally go through the emotional, like we see where the thing came from. She has a belief, but then we went to it and we went to this deeper thing. And you watch her just cry out the levels. And I really believe that cry out, if you're on a frequency that's open, is like a permanent deletion of something. And then you now are this new energy that's just here and it's better, you know, and that's what we're all doing right now. It's just get present, be here, just stay alive, do less addictive things that are blocking these feelings, get very present, know that it's all perfect. If you're trying to get to the other side of something, don't, like it's in process, and stay right there in the grief. Don't get to the rush of even the forgiveness or anything, just and you're going to be shocked at how much is being done when you're not doing. Does that make sense? Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of text out there that say, how hard is it to open a door? All you got to do is knock. How hard is it to get stuff? You just got to ask.
Right.
So this is ancient wisdom here.
Yes.
Kyle, thank you so much, man. This has been absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you for the work you're doing. Okay, this is needed.
Thank you so much. I forgot to mention that the site is absolutely-everything.tv. I forgot to mention just what the site was, which I hate that I did over your amazing compliments. There's still an ego in here that wants to take that. So,
yeah. Well, also all the links and stuff, okay, they're going to be on the bottom of this. They're going to be able to get to you. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be watching your YouTube stuff too. Awesome, brother. Thank you again, man. And thank you on your mission.
Thank you so much. So nice to meet you. Honored to be with you.
Take care, brother. It's been my honor and my pleasure. If you can hear my voice, you are part of the resistance.